Hey everybody, this is John. Uh, I've been promising to do a video on prison, and I have several to do. This one in particular is, I think, going to be obviously number one because I can't cover it all at once. So I'll begin in late 1995 when the policy in California was get tough on crime. That was presidential decree. Get tough on crime, along with just saying no and all that stuff. From the first lady on down to the governors, all the way. So, get tough on crime. Just say no. So, a guy like me, who's been rebellious, who has evaded police officers, and gotten in scuffles with police officers, and had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 misdemeanors by the time I was 28 or so. But none of them really, drunk in public, resisting arrest, drunk in public, evading, resisting arrest, blah, 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 blah. Things that I took as a young man and a foolhardy, I will say foolhardy young man to say, you know what, fuck you. I'm going to do things my way because nobody cares. I mean, I got resentments about my stepdad. He was a dick. My dad left and moved out and didn't care. My mom cared and loved me, but I could say any number of things, but my demeanor, my my genes, I don't know. My thing was fuck authority. Fuck you. Not towards my mother, but the authority figures that I had seen. For example, a child molesting motherfucking principal who was just having his way with prepubescent males, having his way. And the parents going, thank you so much for taking care of my wayward son. And I'm not necessarily talking about me. However, lots of wayward sons were not wayward. Like for me, for example, I grew up playing sports, baseball, soccer, football, basketball, track, tennis, you fucking name it. I was real good at baseball and soccer and track, and I was good at. I never played Pop Warner football, so I wasn't really good at football once they put pads on me. So I couldn't see through the helmet, and I was small when I was, now I'm a bigger guy. But when I was young, I grew up, I was into school early, so I grew up late, hit puberty late. So I wasn't real good at football. But I was a good long distance runner. I was real good at soccer, real good at baseball. Always on the all-star type teams, as a kid, and then all the way through to high school and until after. But I think I learned it too from my dad in a way. Like my dad used to drink beer. We'd go camping every summer. My dad was a teacher for a long time, and we had a camper back then. Not what you think of a campers today, but a Ford, that was custom built, and a Ford. We'd camp in, and he would love it because you know why I love this so much, John, and to my brother and my sister, and uh, because the fuzz can't see you when you're having a beer. And my mother would sit there and look over at him like, and just for good reason be pissed. That's not something you want to say to your kids, right? And we'd, of course, laugh and agree. And after about 6 hours of driving on the road, he'd say, my brother's name, or my name if I was lucky, reach in that cooler and grab me the coldest beer you can find. And not that my dad would, and bring it up to me, and he'd drink it and he'd drive. And now honestly, my dad, I can't remember, well, I'm sure once or twice it happened at least. But after, as I remember growing up and going through camping trips, that's what I remember mostly of our original family doing. I can't remember my dad ever being slightly buzzed, drinking. He would have one, and that he would nurse that for an hour maybe, or he'd have two, and he would not be probably even today. Well, maybe today be legally drunk. Shit, you can't take 2 sips, I don't think, without being, well, maybe you can drink half a can and be not legally drunk. But the point is that I grew up with this idea of fuck the police in a way. My dad, not like me. I took it to the extreme. I would go to a high school party my senior year, junior year, high school, junior, senior year, and I remember one time at a party, drank a bunch of beers. It was kegers. That was in the 80s, the early mid 80s. We drank kegers. We drink fucked up, we get loaded and liquored up, and hopefully get with a girl or not, And then I remember one time finally getting hungry and going into the refrigerator and grabbing a steak, a leftover steak, and eating that son of a bitch. And me and my friend, I won't say his name, left the party. He was driving a fastback Mustang. And this cop drove by us, and we were in Los Altos now, which is even now probably more than then, more intense. But then it was still uppity. At 150, you don't see 2 kids driving a fastback Mustang down the road at 1:32 a.m. as a cop, without flipping around, because there's nothing else for them to do in Los Altos, California. So he flips around, but before he flipped around, what happened? He's coming at us, and I, out of the passenger window, hucked the rest of that steak that I was eating from that party. I threw that out the window, and splat! It hit the cop's windshield. And I remember seeing, in slow motion, looking over, and gish, 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 there's that steak splattering across his windshield. Oh, my sweet dick. Uh-oh. And my friend, I won't say his name. Those that know me know. Those that don't will never know. But I still love him. We're still friends. So anyway, he shifts it, downshifts in a second. Whoa, 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 whoa! And it hits it, And bad suspension, though. Bad suspension. So, but we take a couple corners, and the cop, of course, turns around and follows his lights on. Boop, boop, boop. And it's like, yeah! And so we end up just a few short blocks away in front of another friend's house we know. And we get out and we run. And this cop pulls up, and another cop pulls up, and they're looking for us. And we got out of the car and we ran, not into the friend's house. We parked in front of a friend's house, their parents' house, so of course we didn't run inside. Excuse me. But we parked there. And we ran, we hid in some bushes. Cops get out, they're looking for us, and we're hiding. Finally, they get in their car, they don't see us, they go right by us, walk right by us with their flashlights, like this, and they don't see us. So, and then we after a while, we crawl out of our respective bushes and start kind of walking back, and all of a sudden here around the corner, like maybe they were just at the end of it was like a cul-de-sac, a cul-de-sac with 2 opening ends. So they must have seen us walk, one or the other of us walk out, and they come around the corner, and I remember jumping out in the middle of that road and just like, fuck you, and then running and hopping fences, when you could do stuff, when a kid could do stuff like that. Hop fences and hop another fence and a dog barking. Pow, 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 get away, mother. Bam, fucker. And then you hop another fence. and then you lay in the bushes. And we did this, I swear, hide and seek with these police for a couple hours. And finally, what happened was we went out to the main road, and waited until we saw headlights. And I went out right in the middle of the big road, like, please come catch me. F you, fuck you. And then, by the time I could run down the street and find a hiding spot, they were on me so fast. So, cop cars are fast. And by giving them such a heads up and such a, like, come get me, they found me. And a lady came out of the house. He's over there, because she heard all the rustling and all the stuff. I'm diving like into her, perfect little garden under her lemon bush and getting poked with all those lemon. I remember getting poked with all those lemon, owl stickers, man. And then the gravel, like diving, like, and the skidding and like just trying to hide there. And this lady comes out when the cops pull up. He's right there. He's right there. He's right there. And the cops probably still wouldn't have seen me, fuckers. And then they're like, get out, come out, come out, come out, come out. It's not like today when they would have just probably said, bow, 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 come out. And of course, by then you're dead. So luckily, I came out. And where's your friend? Where's your friend? Where's your friend? Whose friend? I said, what friend? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to sleep. And I was trying to sleep. What? And some ladies, who. So they found out who I was. I'm sure I told them who I was. I was 16 or 17. I don't know. And they asked me, and they took me down to the police department. They asked me, who's your friend? I said, what friend? We know whose car that is. We ran the plates. We know whose car that is. It was parked in front of another friend's house. Whose car is that? Who is that? And for some reason, even when I was that age, I just knew to say, I don't know whose car that is. I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't know anything. Who threw the steak at the cop? Was it you or blah, 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 who owns the car? And they all already knew whose car it was. And I said, I don't know anything about blah, 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 this guy's name. And I don't know anything about steak. I don't know what you're talking about. And then they questioned me some more. And pretty soon I'm like, all I know is blah, 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 didn't throw the steak. I don't think I did. And if I did, I really didn't mean to hit a cop car. So 16, 17, eventually they're going to break you down. You know what I mean? And so I ended up, you have to understand, back then it was a little different. They ended up, oh, yeah, okay, never mind. Okay, they ended up letting me go to walk home. Get the fuck out of here. Walk home. And I got a ticket. And I had to appear in court as a minor. And on the way home, I'm walking home this long, and it was in the summertime because I remember, and we were doing tear-off roofing. We were working as tear-off roofers in the summertime. So it was after my senior year. So I was still 17, but it was in the summer. And as I'm walking home, I see my friend driving his Mustang to the police station. I'm like, what the And there's a cop in front of him. And first comes a cop, and then comes my friend in his Mustang. And I'm like, here's a cop, here's my friend. I'm like, there's my friend. What? So they had gone to his house. I had gotten caught. By the time I was talked to and let go, they had found out his license plate, where he lived, and gone to his house. And he was home. He had made it home. But they had gone to his house and pounded on the door. And I don't know if his parents answered, he answered, whatever. He ended up going down to the police station. And I'm seeing him, and I almost said, hey, give me a ride. But I didn't realize that he was just following them down. I realized quickly he was following them down to the police station. So, but for some reason, I don't know that he got charged with anything, because in the police report I remember reading, he said, I didn't throw anything, and I don't know if John did or not. Fair enough. I mean, fair enough. and he didn't get charged with anything. Back then, you gotta remember, we're talking 1983, 82, 83. It wasn't. This is Los Altos. This wasn't, you know, fucking Watts. This wasn't, we were privileged, I guess you could say. Um, well, I won't guess you could say. You could say we were privileged and lucky. They didn't beat us up. They didn't, still. So that was my first brush with, not my first brush. I had had brushes before that. But suffice it to say, I have always been against authority. And part of it was this child molesting son of a bitch that manipulated my whole family except for my father because he was gone. And well, he was gone. He was 5-6 miles away. But basically he was gone. he didn't want nothing to do with it. So I had a lot of resentment by the time I was 15, 14, 15, 16. By 17, at another party, the cops showed up to break it up. I stood out there with another friend of mine and ended up pissing all over this cop car. My little pud hanging out, my friend's little pud hanging out, pissing all over this cop car. Fuck you! And they came out, and I remember a female cop grabbing me by the front shirt and ripping my buttons and throwing me around in a 360 and slamming me against the car. And I'm like, why'd you rip my buttons? This is a police officer. Why'd you rip my buttons? I don't think I said bitch. But why you rip my buttons? Fuck, man, I'm not doing anything. You're pissing all over my car. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And my friend, he's like, laughing, and the other cop is grabbing him and nailing him. And somehow, I don't think we got ticketed for that. But I remember going to court I threw a stake over the passenger side of the Mustang to hit that cop car. And I remember we were charged with littering. Littering was the charge. And I remember going in front of the judge and saying, Your Honor, I wasn't really littering. I was just finishing the stick and trying to get rid of it. I did not know there was a oncoming car, and I certainly did not know it was a police car, ma'am. It was a lady judge, and ma'am, I didn't know. And bada bang, bada boom. And she said, and she didn't like, because we were kind of laughing about it, even in court, not out loud, but she knew. She like, you spoiled little son of a bitch is what she thought. And so we got a ticket. I got my first ticket. I got a big fine. I don't remember what else. I don't really remember what else. Obviously not enough. Well, I won't say that, but anyway, that's my first run in. And I know it's going to be about prison, but this is the first thing that happened to me regarding one of the first things that happened regarding my just complete lack of respect for authority. Okay. Thanks. I don't know if I'll show this or not, but there's a long way to go from here. And what happens is it ends up in me spending most of from 29 until the age of 44 or so in prison, more or less. I did over 6 years in state prison, not even talking about county jail time. So it really was the beginning of a lot of painful times and losing a lot of stuff losing a lot of things that I'd acquire, and then I'd do something stupid, and then when drug addiction came along, oh God, I kept going back, and then after having a kid, a child, and going away, that happened twice, and that is painful. And all I can do is imagine from my kids' side, and I imagine a lot. And all I can do is know from my side what that's like, going away and leaving your pride and joy, someone who looks at you as a hero, and you have to go away. You go away because you fuck up. I made the decision. Not consciously, but that's so hard. And I don't, please, I'm not asking for sympathy. It's just, man, that is hard. Good thing is, it's been 9 years now, and now it'll never happen again. Excuse me. Uh, but man, leaving a child, that's a whole other set of videos. All right, people. Thank you, and now I'm done laughing.